couples serving in the field globally. And we have about 3,000 mission stations globally in West Africa, East Africa, Africa at large, and other parts of the world. Let's meet the pilots of the Evangelical Missionary Society of ECWA. Good evening, gentlemen, and welcome to EMS Today on ECWATelevision.
Good evening. Nice to
Happy
be here.
Sunday. How are you doing, sir?
No, fine. We are doing well.
Yeah, I understand from within the week you have been a little bit under the weather.
Yes.
But you are getting by the grace of God.
Yeah, my voice is missing. I lost my voice in the process, but I'm okay.
Yeah, but if you don't lose your voice working in EMS, you have not started the work.
Actually, we've been on the road for quite some time.
And one remarkable thing that we must notice and give credit to is the people that are working in EMS would have to be tireless with their efforts, because you have to leave your comfort zone and be in places that even if it's comfortable, the weather might not be suitable. And once in a while, you just have to move around and do that. But God has always been wonderful. Yes. So I am with MacPhillips Elisha D, who is the director of EMS, and I'm so happy to have you here.
So nice to be here too.
Yeah, your appointment is less than a year of being in EMS. Is already a year? A year and a month. Wonderful. And I have the director of administration, or the admin director of EMS, Reverend Ishaku Katuri.
Yes.
You're welcome on the show.
Thank you for having me.
So on EMS Today is a new show. The show is live on Facebook. It's live on all our social media platforms. So you can follow us, share, so that we can have followers, and then we can have people following the show to know what exactly we are doing with the EMS of ECWA. Now, sir, what is EMS as the director? What, apart from it being Evangelical Missionary Society of ECWA, what does EMS mean to you?
Well, EMS means so much. First, as an outreach arm of ECWA in evangelism, but basically as a tool in which we can express our Christian witness. And Christian witness is by life, by word, and by deed. By life, we mean that we are the message. We are the 66 books of the Bible. People read our lives and think they understand what it means to be a Christian. And by word, it means that we need to say the gospel story and to invite people to make it their story. And by deed, we mean that Christian faith at its best is an active faith. It is engaged with the world, seeking to make it better for life and for the enjoyment of life. So EMS, therefore, is a body where it is all-encompassing, it's holistic, and ECWA is expressing itself to the world and bringing salvation, not just salvation, but also bringing succor to the dying world without Christ.
We are the 66 books of the Bible.
Yes.
That is powerful.
Yeah.
The existence of this show for today can be built on that.
Absolutely.
If we say we are the 66 books of the Bible, now if we take out the work of sending missionaries by our lives, we are already missionaries.
We are missionaries. And we don't want people to dichotomize between those of us in the mission fields and those of us wherever you are. You may be an athlete, you may be a secretary, wherever you are. And if you are a pastor in the pulpit, you can only preach for 45 minutes, 52 times in a year. And you don't really have much, but your expression of life will communicate who Christ is and what you believe. People should be able to respond to the gospel in such a way that they know by our conviction, by our lifestyle, by our neighborliness, by the way we handle our families. And that is the significant part of the gospel. And we have to really focus on the gospel by life. In our neighborhoods, we don't get to speak to people about Christ, but they see us as we buy things in the market, as we exchange, as we are in the bank, and anywhere we find ourselves, we are communicating Christ. Even what we dress, the way we talk, the way we, just do everything in life. So by life, because the Bible, people read our lives. If, for instance, you do something bad, they will say Christians are the ones doing it. And then, so people want to see our lives and think they understand what the Bible is all about. So by life is very, very important.
So it is very, very important for people to daily swallow the Word of God.
Absolutely.
So that it can be the sustaining power of the, wow.
One of the problems we have in Africa is accepting Christ from a cosmological level, the brain level. It doesn't affect the heart. And so people have Christ, and they are Christians, and they bear Christian names, and they go to prayer, and they have all the religious and spiritual things we see. But we don't allow Christ to permeate in our everyday life. And that is the missing part. At EMS, we are saying that we really need to bring this to everybody so that even if we don't speak, Christ is able to be seen in our everyday lives.
Wow.
And when we can get that straight, we'll be able to bring the gospel. Part of the ugly narrative about Christians is because people have not been able to see Christ reflect in our everyday life.
Wow. Two things I would like to say to the people watching. It is easy to preach the gospel if you have the word of God dwelling within you. But it's difficult to take it out because of the circumstances that we are surrounded by. And that preamble has been laid. So if you are watching this show will come to you every Sunday at 7 p.m. live on ECWATelevision. From next week, we shall be taking phone calls. This is just to introduce what we are doing. But from next week, we shall be taking phone calls. So you have to sit still. Excuse me. You have to take notes from what we are saying today so that you can keep your questions for next week. We have laid the preamble of everybody being a missionary. Even though some people are more passionate, they have taken it as a calling. Those of us that have not taken it as a calling, we have to take it as a lifestyle to take the gospel to the whole world. And that is the pilot of the affairs of EMS of ECWA today. Reverend MacPhillips Elisha D, he has just given us a preamble of what EMS stands to mean in his life. Now, we have the director of admin here, and I'm going to the structure of EMS, which I think you are in a better position to explain to us the hierarchical structure of EMS. What is the structure of EMS in terms of administration?
Thank you for that wonderful question.
You're welcome, sir.
EMS actually is being structured in a way that everyone is carried along. But the church, the stakeholder, the membership, the staff, and even the targeted communities. Coming to the office, I think we have to give credit to the founding fathers who actually took a year planning how EMS of ECWA will be managed. It will surprise you that the idea of starting EMS started in 1948, but 1949, the whole year was taken to create awareness and to seek advice, counsel from God-fearing fathers and partners so that the work can start without hitches. And I give credits to them because that wonderful beginning has kept EMS from its inception till today.
1940 what?
1948.
Wow.
So today with
a careful planning of 1 year, you have been sustained from 1948. Okay, let's say from 1949.
Yep.
It took 1 year. So let's say from 1950.
Of course.
The plan was executed. So 60, 70, 80, 90, 2000, 2010, 2020. So for 70 years, something that was planned duly 1 year has been propelling force, has been the propelling force ever since.
In fact, anytime I sit in my office, I see these men of God in my heart, and I give them credit for that. If you read the book written by one of our founding fathers who has slept in the Lord, Reverend Dr. Panyababa, he actually stated very clear that it took 1 year of asking direction from God. And it was a platform that all the supporting agencies, but the church leadership, talking about the entire ECWA, the DCCs, the fellowship groups, all were brought into consideration in the planning. And so the office started with just the secretary, taking care and handling all that has to be handled in the office. It was more of outside work because the target was the dying souls. And so the office was not as it is today, where we have the director, the admin, you have the home mission, you have the cross borders, and all of that. it started with just the secretary, and then in consultation with the leadership, direction was given anytime there was need. And so it became a necessity then that the leadership were carried along in such a way that anytime there is a conference or a DCC meeting, the EMS official will have to be there to bring to the understanding of the leadership the update of what is happening in the mission agency that has just started. And let me bring to the understanding of our listeners out there that it started like with the name African Missionary Society. And it wasn't a focus on ECWA as a denomination. Then it has not become a denomination. It was still answering the name SIM churches. And so...
and then it was Sudan Interior Missions.
Then it was Sudan Interior Missions. So, but the focus was, what is the church in Nigeria and Africa doing about the souls that are yet to be reached with the gospel? The passion was the driving force. What are we doing with our brethren that are still in the dark then? If you read, I think I want to still sell the idea that whoever is yet to have this book needs to have it. Vision received, vision passed on. A brief history of EMS of ECWA. It's a wonderful work that anybody that will want to know how EMS started and where it is today, that would be a good foundation for such a person. Coming to the hierarchy in terms of office, we are a department under ECWA as a church, and so EMS of ECWA is one of the departments in the departments of ECWA. And then her responsibility is actually reaching out to the unreached, planting churches where none existed, equipping the converts to become church and grow them to becoming another sending church. And so the director is actually the top managing officer of the department. Then we have the administrator who handles the office work and the staff that are there. Then we have the cross-border office who handles the cross-borders arm of the department.
And the cross-border arm is, if I understand very well, the pastors that are being sent outside of Nigeria.
That's exactly
so
what
that's
it
like
is.
The international desk
Director.
of EMS.
That's what it is. There's also.
So how many of these types of offices do you occupy? Do you have in the EMS?
Currently, we have about 6.
Okay. Namely,
we have the home mission.
What does the home mission do?
The home mission, just like the cross-border,
it
handles
the local
mission
like within Nigeria or West Africa. Within
Nigeria. Okay. Anything across the Nigerian border is handled by the cross-border.
Because of our former name, Evangelical Churches in West Africa. Anytime we look at ECWA, we think of West Africa.
That's it.
Okay, so the home mission desk is in charge of the EMS pastors within Nigeria.
Within Nigeria, that's right.
Then we have the cross-border
who handles the...
So the cross-border does not have business with any pastor that is serving in Nigeria?
Well, as a management staff, he does. But he concentrates on supervising the work that is across our borders.
Okay, so when you say he supervises, what does he do as a supervisor to that people that he cannot do to those that are in Nigeria?
Well, he is actually saddled with the responsibility of working out modalities of how a new field is created
or established
in any country.
Okay.
And he goes to negotiating with the partners on how the nature of the church planting will be. Will it be that we are planting a partnership kind of a project, or we are planting an ECWA direct, not really partnering with any church that is already existing in a given country. So he does that, and then he comes back to report to the management, this is what is obtainable
before a final decision is taken.
Final decision is taken by the management alongside the board members.
Okay. So the third office would be what now?
The third office is the prayer and the home mission, the prayer and promotion.
Okay, what do they promote?
Okay.
You don't have to explain prayer. What do they promote?
Absolutely.
So we are into writing mission news, bulletins, prayer calendars, and of course planning the awareness that we go around the DCCs.
Okay.
So the prayer and promotion
DCCs
office,
meaning district church councils.
of course, that's
ECWA.
what it is. Yeah.
Because there are people watching, they are not ECWA members. They will
DCC,
not
district
know.
church councils across Nigeria. So we go around to do.
So do we have churches outside Nigeria? Are they also involved in that promotion?
Yeah, the pastors that are there already as ECWA pastors, they know what they are expected to do as stakeholders. They also create a mission platform to create awareness within their context.
Okay, so where you can also receive reports from them and put it on the local bulletin. So the fourth office will be what?
The fourth office is the training.
The training, which is very important.
The training coordinator handles all the movements of the missionaries from field to school, from school back to work, and like that.
Let me interrupt you for a while. You have to be in the seminary to be an EMS pastor.
Well, no.
You don't have to?
Any theological training is accepted.
Okay, so you have to have a theological background.
Yeah, that was the basis before. But today, in line with the mission trends today, professionals are also considered.
Okay, depending on your passion.
Depending on your passion regarding missions.
Okay, so people who wake up passionate about missions can be sent to the field.
Of course, we need to have some interaction, and then we see the level we can pick you up.
Okay, because I asked, because if you are in the seminary, you've had training, so I'm wondering, the training now is on what, actually?
The training will now be theological.
Okay.
On how to really align from your profession to theological basis on how to do mission better.
Do they have the training on how to present the gospel, how to dress, how to approach people, like capacity building training? Do they have that as well?
Yeah, we will engage them from the beginning, and then later when we see evidence of calling in them, sometimes we advise they go through seminary or Bible colleges that are
evidence of calling.
Yeah. I think that's a great...
We are grammatically balanced. So we are with the sixth office now. Or the fifth? The sixth office.
The fifth now.
Yes, I think. School services.
Then we have the school services.
Okay, where we have all our schools.
Where we have all our schools. So the schools are handled by him. He mediates between the office and the school, and then whatever is needed, he reports to the management monthly, weekly, where the need arises. Okay. So, and then we have medical department, medical unit, so to say.
Of EMS. Do we have an EMS hospital?
We do. We have some outlets. We have clinics? We have 3 clinics. We actually have one that is undergoing it's a project, a new project in Kwasan DCC is yet to actualize.
What state is that? What state is that?
Kwasan DCC is in Kaduna State.
Okay.
Kauru local government precisely. It was an area we saw some potentials of church growth. Then we planted about 6 churches actually. That was when I was there, but it's already existing as an LCC. So we started building a clinic there with the community work of the converts there in support of the DCC, but because of the security unrest, the project has been put to a hold for now. So those are the 6 units that we have. So we are thanking God because all of these are platforms that EMS operates and are able to reach out to the unreached, while some are serving the missionaries that are already serving within the organization. Let me use this platform to say that we are grateful to God for the Evangel Hospital, who have been standing with us in all our clinics.
Evangel Hospital?
as Bingham University Teaching Hospital here in
That's
Jos.
a very polite way of correcting you.
I understand. So Bingham University has
well,
been,
people still know it as the Evangelist
Oh,
of
sure.
John Kwanu
John
and all of
Kwanu
that.
and all of that.
People
So-
don't have time to call it Bingham University. It's
no,
too long.
It's too long.
People
So
already used to it.
that hospital is so dear to us because anytime, any moment we knock at their door with a patient, missionary wife, missionary child, they are ready to accommodate us and give us treatment, no matter how much it costs, whether we have the money or not. So they will treat our missionary or missionary wife or child until later, when God blesses us, we pay. So that had never deterred them from serving us any moment, any time. So I want to say kudos to the leadership of that very, our own very wonderful Bingham University Teaching Hospital, the John Kwanu we used to.
And if the CMD is watching, that cost you, I will calculate the cost because he has spoken about your hospital. Dr. Anzaku has spoken about your hospital for 1 minute 30 seconds. So my accountant will calculate the cost of that and send that to you because it was not in the original plan to advertise your hospital here. But since we have done it and it's equa to equa, we are going to calculate it at a discounted rate. And then John Kwanu is going to be paying us. On this note, I would like to take a quick break. When we are back, I will still be having these people. I promise if they don't go anywhere, we'll still be here with them when we are right back. So let's take a very quick break and we'll be right back.
A world without Christ is a world in Christ, and the Lord Jesus Christ left his throne in heaven in order to come and save mankind. That is mission.
How can they believe in the one of whom they have not heard? And how can they hear without someone preaching to them? And how can they preach unless they are sent? The hunger for Christ continues to invade communities every day. It is people coming to ask us to come evangelize them. God has blessed us with zealous, obedient missionaries, obeying the Great Commission, transforming lives, changing communities. We have close to 2,000 missionaries working in 19 countries among 200 different people groups. To push back the forces of evil and invade the kingdoms of this world and make them the kingdom of our Lord Jesus Christ, and to check the current insurgency in Africa, we are determined to increase our mission fields from 2,000 mission stations to 10,000 mission stations all over Africa and the world in the next few years. For us to do more to change the narrative of missions, we at EMS of ECWA are poised to raising the number of supporters from 1,600 to 1 million supporters. We are introducing a new opportunity, the Golden Supporter.
It's been EMS Today on ECWATelevision Africa. My name is still Tony J. Nakali, and I still have the director of EMS, the Oga Pata Pata of EMS, in the person of Reverend MacPhillips Elisha, and I still have Reverend Ishakudi Katuri with me in the studio. And we have set a preamble to discuss how that everyone is a missionary, except that some, the fire in them is burning more than the others, and those that we have termed as the called out ones, the called EMS missionaries, and then those of us that are escorting them are doing the mission work from the background. We have looked at the hierarchical structure of EMS, and we have looked at what EMS stands to achieve as they stride daily. I want us to go into a facet that is very important to me. What is the overhead of the total overall overheads of EMS, like monthly? You signed the check, so I should ask you that.
Yeah, it's quite extensive. We just increase salaries. It's quite difficult for us to give you a very clean figure because we just increase salaries and we are still trying to some things are staggering, but we need probably close to 120 million
monthly. You spend 120 million monthly as overheads.
As overheads.
This are, overheads can never be said given a particular amount because they are miscellaneous. There are things that come up, unforeseen.
If we probably stretch it, will be probably close to 140. 140 per month.
Even if you put that, a car can break down. It's not in your overhead.
So it's quite expensive.
Jampan will have to deal with you if you have a patient and all of that. So if you are running 140 to 150 million monthly, that means you are running over almost 2 billion yearly.
Yeah.
How in the world do you make that kind of money?
That's a good question, really a good question. Before October last year, it has been very difficult. That is why sometimes you see missionaries don't get salaries. But last year we sat down to think that the missionaries are really suffering. And we brought the idea of the Golden Supporter. The Golden Supporter is one way that will help us to make this money. Now, apart from people who are donating here, supporting missionaries, it's very quite difficult to really make that amount of money in a year. That is huge, really, really huge. Our budget this year is about 3.2 billion naira.
For the year?
For the year, 3.2 billion naira. And that includes everything. But this is it. It's the support that comes every year is not probably up to 750 million naira.
A year?
A year.
But 750 million in a year. But you have about 2 million
and that is why you
naira to spend in a year.
That is why right now we are actually in deficit. We are actually indebted to over 250 million naira.
Well, there are people watching you. They are listening as well.
and so now what we have to do from last year was to say, okay, how do we deal with these issues? First of all, we have to look at the welfare of the missionaries. Above all else, if we don't cater for the welfare of the missionaries, we are going to be in trouble. I don't understand how somebody can receive 20,000 naira, 30,000 naira, or 14,000 naira in a month, and some of them have 5 children. How can they survive that?
I'd like to interject. The salaries are proportionate or what?
Well, you are paid according to your qualification, but it's depending on the availability of funds.
Okay, so what's the least a missionary is paid?
So it depends on the month. Before now, all this thing I'm talking about is before October. You can be paid as low as 10,000, sometimes 7,000, sometimes 14,000. But the baseline was 20,000 naira. But don't forget, if a donor send 20,000 naira, we'll have to make deductions, pension and all the deductions, and then he ends up getting 15,000 naira or 14,000 naira. And that is way suicidal. Way suicidal. And then
coming from the director, I'm happy to hear that. And I'm sure the missionaries are also excited. Maybe they are clapping for you from some bush. You don't.
So when we came, we said, okay, the structure of accounts, and my accountant, I wish he was here, he always said, I'm an accountant, I'm not a pastor. I said, well, we have to really go by faith. We really have to go by faith. This is, look at the figures, we never got up to 750,000 naira. Million, but we really have to go by faith. And we said, okay, 1st October, all missionaries will receive ECWA 2016 salary scale, every one of them. To the glory of God, that has happened and is happening right now.
What is the salary scale?
I
like for people to know, because there's nothing hidden in this. People need to know. Some people from this, they are picking out what the needs are.
So the 2016 salary scale is saying that you are going to be paid like any other ECWA staff around the world. Anybody, like the president. Whatever the president is receiving, that is what you also receive.
Which is what I'm praying for my salary to become.
So, yes, I also want my salary to be equal to like president's salary. But this is what it means. It now depends on your qualification, your years of experience, and all that together will now form your salary. So it means that you are receiving exactly what ECWA is meant to pay you. And this stepped up the salary. You see somebody receiving 14,000 and now probably is receiving 40,000.
Wow.
So it stepped up. And then so we stepped that up. But don't forget, we stepped this up without funding. And alongside, we introduced the Golden Supporter Initiative. The Golden Supporter Initiative is intended that every ECWA member donates no less than 5,000 naira in a year. If we have 1 million people donating 5,000 naira in a year, that will give us 5 billion naira
in a year.
In a year, that is already above our budget for 2022.
And you can even have more than.
We can even have more than. And many of us who are staff sign in for this golden supporter. Some of us signed our whole salaries per month. Some served even 2 salaries per month. And we are hoping that people will sign 10,000, 100,000, 1 million, 10 million. And this is what we think, that if we have 3 million ECWA members giving an average of 10,000 naira, that will give us a lot of billions. But it's not only for salaries, don't forget. At the outset of this discussion, I said the gospel by deed. How do we make the gospel to drop in every street corner of our society? With the crisis we have, the mayhem, the killings, and we sit down wailing, how do we deal with these insurgents? How do we do that? Now the problem is that there is so much unemployment, there is so much hunger and so much crisis, and we are thinking that we can actually begin to develop human capital development. We can develop the rank and file of ECWA members, especially young people, who are able to engage in skills, not just normal skills, but very powerful skills. And I said it often, why do we import chairs from Dubai? From Malaysia, from Italy, we import goods. We can have these companies here. And so EMS at this point is poised to begin to think of how we can develop human capital development, because the gospel will have to be seen by deed. The gospel brings life, and our life can be better every single day. Now, again, that is why we connected with some of our stakeholders through the central bank to say that we can have farming, dry season farming, rainy season farming, and the rank and file of ECWA members now can access all the grants, whether it is Anchor Borrowers Program, whether it is fertilizer, whether it is extension services, whether it is skills, whether it is machines, whatever they need, they can actually do. We're actually thinking that ECWA will become the food capital of Africa. We can actually import food, and that is where we are going. The gospel have to respond to that. The third part of it is evangelistic bridges. We cannot reach these people who are killing us every day if we are not actually materially buoyant. So we have to be that. And then they are equally struggling more than us. I come from the north. And I have classmates, and I don't have any classmates who have less than 17 children. I wonder how they are feeding them. And some of them don't even have jobs. So we can use evangelistic bridges, whether it is through hospital, healthcare, through economic security, through education, through nutrition, to reach out to a dying world without Christ. When people hear the gospel, no longer coming with the Bible alone, but you are coming with things to help them, now we can catch a vast number of young people, and we're able to check the ugly history and narrative of our society. So the Golden Supporter is intended to check and raise these funds. But apart from that, I'm going from family to family, individual to individual, and asking people to make one major donation. This is not about Golden Supporter. This is like one major donation. And this is how we are doing it. Tony, I know you bought this suit. It costed you something.
What?
Your suit. It costed you. Yeah, it costed you something. And then you have a cell phone. It costed you something. You have a shoe. Now, and what I'm saying is that you look at everything you have: a TV, a house, a motorcycle, maybe a small handset, maybe a bed, a mattress, and all of those things are investment. Can you just make one of those investment for missions? If you buy a shoe for 10,000, can you say, oh, this year I'm going to buy a shoe for Jesus for 10,000, and you send it, apart from your Golden Supporter initiative. And then you can decide to say, okay, I'm going to make this. With this, we are going to help our teeming populace. We have a lot of widows. What we do, we arrest the situation, and then we give them some food. That is not right. We need to help people. If you ask, why should people be given food? Rather, we should ask the right question: why can't people generate food for themselves? And so EMS is coming up with a platform where all these things can be taken together. The gospel can be taken together in a holistic manner. We are providing healthcare, we are providing education, we are providing nutrition, and the whole rank and file of ECWA members will change. And not just ECWA members. Actually, our target is on ECWA members. For us, ECWA is just a leader.
It starts,
it's a leader. But we are trying to drag every single church, every single individual. We have to make this country, and we have vast number of resources. We already started. We have our sister, our department, city ministries, are really doing a lot. Very soon we'll start drilling boreholes for irrigation.
We should have city ministries in one of the episodes, so
yes,
that we can know what they are doing.
Yeah, we will.
There. And it's important for people to have a graphic understanding of what EMS is. Personally, I feel blessed being the general manager of ECWATV. Why? Because of that 1948 plan. I was included.
Wow.
Yeah.
The ECWA president today is included in that plan. The general secretary of ECWA, all the ECWA, everybody was included in that plan, so because EMS gave birth to ECWA. Today, I want you to take a mental picture, and if you are watching, think about it with the preamble laid. Think about it. You are a proud ECWA member, but take a mental picture of ECWA in the absence of EMS.
Yeah.
There is nothing to say ECWA stands for, because anywhere you go, anyone you have a conversation with, they tell you your pastors are in the bushes and all of that. That is how they see ECWA.
And Tony, I live with that realization every single day. When I became the director, the first thing that came to my mind is that, God, why should you give me to lead missions in a congregation of over 10 million people? How will I start doing that? And then I said, okay, how will I enter into the thinking of 10 million people? And I said, God, all I want is ideas. I just want to stretch my limit. So now I work hard every single day because I know I represent every single one out of you there. And I've rubbed minds with many people. I know their hearts about missions. I know how far they want us to go. I know how deep. I know how extensive. And I know how that you want the lives of the missionaries to be better. And that is why every single day we drag and we are dragging. The last 3 weeks have been very hectic. And we keep pushing because we know that without us, honestly speaking, without ECWA, EMS of ECWA, the gospel of Africa is in trouble. And for me, the way I see it is that I know there are other churches doing evangelism, other organizations, but for us to understand our heart is to think that there is no one doing mission work apart from ECWA. And that is a critical emergency we have. And that is why we are thinking that we must plant 10,000 churches within a critically short time. And we can do it. We can really do it.
That's within and outside Nigeria.
Within and outside Nigeria. In a critically short time. And then we keep building from there. Because if you go to the rank and file of ECWA members, even people who are not educated, they want to do missions. People will send 1,000 naira. I have one woman coming to tell me, he said, I didn't take the form because I thought that I would not be able to raise 5,000 naira in a year. But God gave me 3,000 naira and I'm sending it. If I get 2,000 before December, this was last year, I will send the 2,000. And December she called to say, I've gotten the balance. So I know that we represent a large number of people who God placed mission in their hearts, and we do not take it for granted. And that is why we are joining every single one person to join this movement. The Golden Supporter Initiative is still not where we want it to be, but it's building up very strongly. I believe we will get there. We'll get to a point where ECWA members, our children in ECWA will be so financially buoyant that they will sponsor the gospel recklessly. When I say recklessly, that they will donate recklessly with reckless abandon. And we see that unemployment is checked, this crisis is checked, we take over, we become an economic balance of the even the political balance, not in a negative sense, because God is the God of all. The Christians are suffering, the Muslims are suffering. We have to raise manpower within us who will not dichotomize, who will not begin to show differences of this religion, but who will look at when Christ was addressing. When Paul was making his speech, he said, I understand that this Christ is the Lord of all, which means he's the God of the Muslim, he's the God of the Boko Haram, he's the God of everybody. People are suffering. Everyone. People are suffering. And so when we talk about the gospel that only save people, and then they go through a lot of a long tunnel to go to heaven, what happens now? Why are people not eating? People cannot eat, people cannot do anything. We need to check that. And that is why the Golden Initiative is very, very powerful. I'm already out on the streets going to people. I'm having a horseshoe dinner. And horseshoe dinner is bringing a number of people to share the vision. And then we have the history handful. The history handful of, we just need 5 people. Just 5 people who will give us 100 million naira above. Once every year, just once every year. And we have them in ECWA, we have them outside ECWA who can do it. We must take this gospel, the critical, the A.W. Tozer said, many of us live in the world as if it is a playground, but the world is actually a battleground. We are battling with the forces of darkness. So that is where we are going, and we hope that by the end of the year, we would have broken even with our funding, and we would have passed. Let's go past this salary issue. Salary should be a no-brainer. We should be able to pay salaries effortlessly.
Going past salary issue is what everybody is struggling with.
Yeah.
Government is struggling with that. Everybody has a brilliant plan, but the strategies are shaky. Because people have plans, they don't have strategies. Yeah. And I think as part of having strategies in ECWA, there is something we need to come out and show the world that we are. Yeah. People have always known us as a rural evangelistic ministry. Yeah. It has affected us.
Yes.
And I'll explain this to you. We have members, sir, who can give you 100 million naira and not feel anything has pinched their account. Yeah. But you know why they will not do that? Most of them are thinking, ECWA is rural. What will they do with the 100 million? They will go and buy a car and that is it. Until we start presenting ourselves as urban, more urban than rural. Because think about it, sir. It will not cost you much to build a church in a village. As a matter of fact, there are villages that are calling that we want to have a church. But when you have a plot of land in the city, you know what that means. From buying it to having proper documents, registration, registering the plot of land, you know, developing structure. You have to go through urban development planning, all of these things with government and all of that. So we should focus our strength in the cities. It will take care of the rural settlement. And when we do that, people will begin to see us as people with needs.
Thank you, Tony.
Because, sir, just in a minute, mostly people dash ECWA money. They don't give ECWA money. There are two different things. They have sent people are suffering, pastor is preaching, one EMS pastor has not eaten in 3, and some people are sitting this way in church. Madam, do you have 5,000? Let's give them. And it's just like because there is a need at that point in time. But we want something that is more sustaining. You understand? Right. And this is taking us to the next point because the time is like really running on us. And I want us to take the issue of sustainability, even though we have not talked graphically or in depth into the issue of overheads and funding and all that. I think that will enter into the next week discussion. But let's talk about sustainability. Sir, as the director of admin in EMS, what do you think? Because the figures and the facts will come to your table before they get to him.
Sure.
So what do you think is the hope of EMS with all of these beautiful dreams? How do we icing the cake?
Thank you, Tony. I think even with that, first of all, we reflect back from where we started to where we are today, and we have every reason to thank God. For EMS, the way it started and where it is today, it has been God's grace. I think that's just the right word because I don't see any adjective that qualifies that beside the grace. Grace in the sense that our founding fathers who started this idea of using the indigents, they saw this, the issue of the need of sustainability, and they carry everything to the feet of Jesus and say, Jesus, this is your word. You desire that a sinner repents. And we are out for this Great Commission mandate. Do it for us. And so when EMS started, their focus wasn't much on the issue of money. Their issue was, let's get it right. What is God expecting me as a believer to do? Is actually to tell this good story to others who have not heard. What their major source of income as regard to sustaining the mission then was going to the Lord on their knees and then coming back in the early church way, reporting back to the church the developments out there in the field. And that has been a platform God has been using till today in meeting most of our needs as a mission agency in ECWA. Sometimes we battle with issues, and it will surprise you that anytime we go on our knees and ask God for direction, God will always surprise us. But then, talking about sustainability, I think we just have to go back to where our parents started before we begin to look at other avenues. In terms of sustainability, God has gone ahead of us in giving us good ideas, people who can think critically, people who can rationalize. And just as we're talking, initially, there wasn't any guarantee that you are joining EMS, you'll have salary. The initial movement was answer God's call and wait and see what he will do. Because he owns the mission. And so our founding fathers were after getting the right people who are truly called, in quote. Anyone that is called and knows who has called him, it's difficult to hear him talking about salary.
Absolutely.
Doesn't talk about salary. This is not to say there are no needs. The needs are there. But then you go back to the one that has called. He has the power to move the 10,000 cattle up there in the hills.
Belongs to him.
To your spot where the need is. And so in most cases, you hear testimonies from our missionaries. They are without food, they are this, and they pray, lo and behold, a visitor comes. To say, take this. And so there are so many, testimonies from our missionaries that are serving in that regard. But sustainability is actually a responsibility of a leader to think about where we are and then how do we get to tomorrow. So the idea has been there. Like I said, it started without any reasonable, so to say, issue of this is my supporter, this is my supporter. But because time and seasons come, we have developed ourselves to be coming to where today we have a number of supporters who have taken responsibility of paying salary for the missionaries they are sponsoring. And these have been sustained in a way that anytime the supporter is able to have proper report as regard to what his missionary is doing, you find out that he comes in a bigger way that you have been thinking. And so the supporters are waiting to hear from us what is happening in the field. So the supporters have been one of those things we trust that with them sustainability is guaranteed. Above all, the leadership of the church is sensitive to this. And so anytime there is a need, the leadership of ECWA come together from our report, what is happening. So the check and balance is always there. And they try to say, okay, how do we meet this need? It will surprise you that when we came in, or when we started, there wasn't the issue of second mission collection or even the first. But it was the leadership that saw this need and said, we must have to create another platform for income to flow into mission. Otherwise, we'll get to where we will stop. And so ECWA as a family, ECWA as a denomination is concerned about sustaining EMS as a mission department. And so the stakeholders are always on the alert. Anything that is coming as a challenge that will hinder the work, they will never let go of such. And so we want to thank the leadership in that perspective, because anytime, any moment they are out there, they speak for us where we are not there, depending on the reports we give them. And so this sustainability has been a key factor that ECWA has never relegated it to the background. And so all the stakeholders, the pastors, the leadership, the fellowship group leaders, international and local, are all carrying EMS along to be sure that EMS continues no matter what. And so we're grateful to God for putting it in the hearts of our supporters and the church who actually form the department that it must continue. So come what may, the leadership are behind us, God is in the front, and so we are confident that the future is bright.
Wonderful.
Yeah, in addition to what he said, I want to point out two things, especially one of the things you mentioned, and that is planting urban churches. That is actually in our front burner right now. We want to plant, why don't we have churches in Victoria Island, in Ikoyi, in the major hub of Port Harcourt, and all these cities? But that requires funding, and that is equally where the Golden Supporter is going. Think, for instance, that these celebrities we have, and they are ECWA members, think of what will happen. One of them will sponsor all the missionaries in the rural areas. So part of it is that, okay, currently I have about 3 professors who said we want to be in the mission field. But one of them is from here in Jos, is saying that I want to go for sabbatical in the mission field.
Wow.
Now, if we can employ, if we can have, he said something, evidence of calling. If we have a professor, somebody, he can go to those places, and then we can have them as missionaries. We can have professors, we can have doctors, we can have very exposed people as missionaries in Victoria Island, in such high-profile places. But you know what that means? To even rent, for instance, in Victoria Island, probably a house fire can be less than 5 million naira. And that is what we are focusing. And that is what the Golden Supporter will do. The second part of it is that, okay, as we develop these young people, these young unemployed ECWA members, I will teach them skills of international repute and help some of them in importing and exporting of goods. Because again, we are not focusing on economic security, we are not focusing on empowerment, we are focusing on the financial freedom. Far too long, Tony, people spend all their life paying bills. Life is more than paying bills. You wake up every morning, you want to pay your house rent, your school fees, your this, and that is cumbersome. That is so frustrating. You spend your whole life trying to make money to break even. And so you find people suffering. And now we are working on financial freedom, where it is an effortless paying, where you pay your bills just reminded of the date. Now we are like coaches. We don't have to be rich, but we have our young people out there who we can help to really acquire international skills that they can really become. And tomorrow, you call this young man, you say, John, excuse me, John, we need 1 billion naira to do that. He said, oh, let me send it to you. And that is also part of sustainability. The Golden Supporter is also a sustainable outlet because it's effortless. 5,000 naira per year, the minimum, 5,000 naira per year. Everybody can afford that amount of money for life and on all of this. And the skills acquisition we are going to put together, people also can be fund generating acquisition. And then agriculture too. Agriculture, we are really going into agriculture and we are thinking that, like I said earlier, will be the food producers, the largest food producer in Africa through ECWA members.
Wow. So how many members of staff do you have in the EMS?
At the head office here?
Yeah.
About 30.
About 30?
Yeah. 30 staff.
So are they enough?
Not really.
Because in the opening, I made a preamble by saying you have about 2,000 couples.
Sure.
That's like 4,000 people in the mission field, apart from their children.
Sure.
Yes.
So, and then you have about 3,000 stations, because some of these people from the 2,000 have like 2 or 3 stations.
Yeah.
Yes, right. And that is clearly understood. So, like, how many staff would you want to see employed more for adequacy of progress?
In fact, I think with the development today in the area of technology, we want to have more staff like in the promotion office. We would love
Put together all, like how many
together
to join
in
the 30?
office. Yeah, I think if we have about 10, 11 or so, depending on their professionalism, then I think that would be okay.
Meetings 20 will be better.
Well, so that means you have like 50.
Okay.
So this
in the head office, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
this extends further from supporting missions to supporting staff, because people can actually tell you they can pay the salaries of these people, and organizations are watching. But I have to bring the show to an end today because our time is fast spent. But before then, I'd like to read some of the comments. I have a lot of people watching, and I have Eli Timos, more grace EMS. We have Musa Habila who says yes, up EMS. We have Ayuba Babvaba. I don't know how this is spelled. I'm sorry. God bless missionaries. Then we have Solomon Ocheja. Great work. The Lord grant us success as we proclaim his holy name. We have Josiah Awari. He said massive. Moses Chohu, massive one. We have a lot of people. Just have to skip. I'm looking for the short ones. Somebody wrote an entire epistle. His name is Sadiq Musa Sadoki. And then we have Det Jibrin S. Obadiah. It's a massive work. Then we acknowledge, that's from Sadiq. He said, we acknowledge what the Lord is doing in and through you as a ministry. In years to come, I desire that you become a marvel on the face of the earth in preaching the gospel of the cross and liberating nations in bondage.
Wow.
We earnestly pray for you always, according to the grace of God in my life. Supporting you will never cease in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Amen. We love you, EMS of ECWA.
Thank you.
Those that are sending in comments should not forget that without ECWATelevision, you couldn't have watched this too. It's been a serious show. We have not laughed, so this will ease up. EMS must go. Somebody is saying EMS must go, and he's thinking like not leave, but go forward. And then Obadiah Gapome say good work out there. Paul Jacob watching live event and so much happy for this new development. And then we have Emmanuel Emizami says, God bless EMS of ECWA. I'm just skipping. Princess, God guide, more wisdom. Jibra, Subi, Ali, well done watching from Borno State, Maiduguri. Nasiru Saidu, great grace to EMS of ECWA. We have, Matthew Isabayo Tanglang. Yes, this is true. I am a living witness to what my director is saying, praying for more grace upon the leadership of EMS of ECWA. ECWA leadership for embracing the idea of golden support and open doors to all our supporters. Wonderful. We have Sarah La'a. She said, God bless EMS of ECWA, and then so on and so forth.
Wow.
Edua, well done. God bless you. God bless EMS of ECWA watching from Lokoja, Kogi State. And then the rest of you, we will just go on Facebook after the show and watch your comments and read them. Thank you very much, MacPhillips and Ishaku Katuri for coming. And then for our viewers, we are grateful that you took out time to watch. I want you to notice one fact, that without EMS of ECWA, ECWA is almost not useful, because EMS of ECWA gave birth to every facet in ECWA, and we're calling on everybody that is in ECWA to come out and support. If you are not yet a golden supporter, do that. I am a golden supporter from after this show. Right now, I have become a golden supporter. 5,000 a year will not affect your income. It will, in fact, it will boost your income the more. The more we start thinking of working together, the better it is for us. Please don't forget, stay out of trouble and be kind to one another. We want to thank the ECWA executive for giving us an opportunity to do this on TV. On behalf of every staff of ECWATelevision, we are grateful and thank you for watching. Have a good evening and God bless you.
Thank you.